Hidden across the globe, tucked away in the most unexpected corners, lie villages that time forgot and the world abandoned. These forgotten places carry stories so haunting, so mysterious, they are barely remembered. And yet they whisper secrets of another time. A time before the cities, before the highways, when people lived with a deep connection to the land. But what happened to these villages? Why were they left to decay, swallowed by the elements, or erased from history? Was it nature that claimed them, or something far darker? Maybe it was the promise of progress that pulled people away, or perhaps something sinister. For every abandoned home, there's a story untold. And for every ghost town, there's a history that refuses to be forgotten. What would happen if we stepped into these forgotten places? Would we hear the echoes of laughter that once filled these streets, or feel the weight of the past that still lingers? Join me as we uncover 15 hidden villages tucked away in the corners of the earth, places that time forgot and the world chose to ignore until now. High upon a sun-scorched hill in southern Italy stands a ghost frozen in time. Its name is Krakow, a village sculpted from stone and silence. Imagine walking into a place where every door has been left ajar for decades, every window cracked by the slow hands of nature. The streets are empty, but they feel alive, not with people, but with memory. Krakow was once a proud medieval village, its foundations dating as far back as the 8th century. Perched like a watchtower above the Italian landscape, it was a fortress, a home, a beating heart of rural life. Families lived close, harvests fed the generations, and church bells echoed over olive groves. But Krakow had a secret, one buried deep in the very ground it stood on. Beneath its cobbled paths lay unstable clay-rich soil, fragile and unpredictable. And over the years, that soil began to shift. First came small landslides, then cracks in walls. Then in 1963, a massive evacuation forced over 1,800 residents to flee. Krakow, once thriving, was swallowed by the Earth's quiet rebellion. One by one, its homes were abandoned. The laughter stopped. The windows darkened. Today, Krakow remains untouched. Empty houses lean over the edge of cliffs. Its church, now roofless, watches the skies. And a cold wind moves through the arches like a wandering spirit. What's left behind is not ruin, but reverence. They say no one truly leaves Krakow. that the souls of the past walk its alleys, that if you listen closely, you can hear whispers in Italian carried on the wind. And yet Krakow lives on in unexpected ways. Filmmakers have fallen in love with its haunting beauty. It appeared in The Passion of the Christ, Quantum of Solace, and Italian cinema as the perfect stage for forgotten stories. This is not just a ghost town. It's a preserved echo of a world we rarely see, where ancient lives left silent fingerprints on stone walls. In a world speeding forward, Krakow reminds us of what gets left behind when time and Earth decide to move on without us. High in the hills of southwestern Turkey lies a ghost village, still, silent, and suspended in time. Kayaköy, once a thriving community of Greek Orthodox Christians, now stands like an open-air museum of loss, memory, and quiet resistance against forgetting. Wander these ruins and you'll find no tourists with selfie sticks, only shadows, whispering through doorless homes, clinging to walls where laughter once echoed. Over 350 stone houses remain, their windows now blank eyes staring into an empty sky. Kayaköy was more than a village. It was a soul shaped by centuries of community. Artisans, farmers, teachers, families. It survived earthquakes. It endured empire changes. But it couldn't survive politics. In 1923, a population exchange agreement between Greece and Turkey forced nearly 1.5 million Greeks and Turks to leave their ancestral homes overnight. The villagers of Kayaköy packed up generations in wooden carts and walked away forever. They left behind homes, memories, heirlooms, and churches. 2 grand chapels still stand here, their altars empty, their bell towers now silent. New Turkish families were supposed to resettle here, but none stayed. The village, they said, felt wrong, empty, not just of people, but of spirit. And so Kayaköy remained, untouched, unclaimed, a hollow shell left for the earth to reclaim. But the ghosts haven't left. Walk the cobbled lanes at dusk, and you'll swear you hear footsteps behind you. Some say the spirits of Kayaköy's former residents still roam here, searching for home or justice. Today, Kayaköy is preserved as a historical monument, a rare place where silence tells the loudest story. And in its quietude, it asks a question of us. How do we remember what history chose to forget? Off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan, lies a man-made island so haunting it could pass for the set of a dystopian film. A fortress of concrete rising from the ocean, lifeless, hollow, and surrounded by silence. This is Hashima, known to some as Gunkanjima, Battleship Island. And it's not just the shape that gives it that name. It's the way it looms from the water, solid, armored, and mysterious. But not long ago, this island wasn't dead. It was alive, bursting with families, workers, school children, and the sound of life. Imagine over 5,000 people packed into a space the size of a football field. This was once the most densely populated place on Earth. In the early 1900s, Hiroshima was a coal mining miracle. Beneath its seabed lay vast tunnels, feeding Japan's industrial growth. Above ground, it became a marvel of urban engineering. Multi-story concrete apartments, rooftop gardens, even movie theaters, all built to withstand typhoons. But beneath this progress lurk shadows. During World War II, Korean and Chinese forced laborers were brought here under brutal conditions. Many never left. Their stories are the silent ghosts in these collapsing hallways. And when oil replaced coal, the island's purpose vanished. In 1974, almost overnight, everyone left. Food in cupboards, clothes in closets, toys left on school desks, as if time just stopped, as if the ocean called them away in a whisper. Today, no one lives here, and yet the walls remember. Cracks trace the years like veins. Plants grow through floors that once held bustling families. Birds nest in abandoned stairwells. Nature has begun its quiet takeover. Hiroshima has become more than a ghost town. It's a frozen memory, a monument to ambition, isolation, and the silence that follows when humanity walks away. And now you've seen it, one of the world's most unsettling, most intriguing, unseen villages. There's silence in this village, thick, haunting, unforgettable. The kind of silence that doesn't soothe, it accuses. A silence that weighs on your skin like the heat of a fire, long extinguished but never truly gone. This is Oradour-sur-Glane, a quiet village in the heart of France. Once it was just like any other. Cobblestone streets echoing with laughter, bicycles clinking along narrow lanes, bakers opening shutters to the scent of morning bread. But on June 10, 1944, time stopped. The Nazis came, and they didn't come to conquer. They came to erase. "642 innocent villagers were rounded up. Men were marched to barns and machine-gunned. Women and children were locked inside the church, which was then set ablaze. No warning, no mercy, no survivors." The village was never rebuilt, not out of despair, but by choice. It was preserved exactly as the Nazis left it. Burnt-out buildings, rusted cars, melted clocks, collapsed roofs. As a scar, a memory etched into the earth. When you walk these streets today, it feels like time has held its breath. The sewing machines still sit by broken windows. The barber's chair remains silent and dusty. The village speaks without saying a word. And it tells a story we must never forget, not just of horror, but of remembrance, of how humanity can collapse, and why we must never let it happen again. Oradour-sur-Glane is more than a forgotten village. It's a monument, a ghost of tragedy, preserved so the world would remember what silence sounds like when no one is left to speak. Perched like a claw gripping the cliffs of Calabria, Pentadadolo is a village carved not just from stone, but from legend, betrayal, and blood. Its name means 5 fingers, a reference to the mountain that looms over it, shaped like a gnarled hand reaching toward the sky. But for centuries, locals have whispered that those fingers once gripped a dark and terrible truth. Once a thriving settlement founded by the ancient Greeks, Pentadotelo bore witness to conquests, earthquakes, and invasions. But it was the year 1686 that forever sealed its fate in infamy. The noble Alberti family ruled here with dignity until a fateful Easter night, when vengeance came cloaked in steel and silence. Baron Bernardino of Benevoli, driven by jealousy and lust, stormed the village with armed men. His target? Lorenzo Alberti, the man who stole the heart of the woman Benevoli loved and refused his duel. The massacre was swift. The entire Alberti family was butchered. Their blood, they say, stained the rocks beneath their home, marks that never faded. And though centuries have passed, the story remains stitched into every creak of these broken ruins. After an earthquake in the 1700s and years of hardship, the remaining villagers fled, leaving behind empty streets that now echo with a silence heavy as grief. Today, only a handful return, artists, dreamers, and souls seeking something lost. But many say Pentadotelo is not empty. At night, when the wind howls through the 5 fingers of the rock, some swear they hear cries. Others say they've seen shadowy figures moving between the stones. Whether a cradle of beauty or a prison of ghosts, Pentadotelo remains suspended in time, its stones still whispering the tale of a love denied and a legacy stained in sorrow. On the sun-drenched island of Vair, where tourists now flock for seaside cocktails and Instagram sunsets, there lies a forgotten trail, winding uphill over crumbled stone paths and through a silence that feels too deliberate to be natural. At the end of that path is Malograblia, a ghost village where time simply stopped. And yet the walls still stand, the olive groves still bloom. It's as if the people just stepped out mid-conversation and never returned. Malograbli was once a close-knit community, a self-sustaining village of farmers, masons, and olive oil producers. They lived off the land, bound by traditions that spanned centuries. Families passed homes down through generations. Life was simple, but rooted, real. But in the 1960s, something changed. Modern life was calling, and the villagers made a collective decision to leave their ancestral home behind. Not because of disaster, not because of war, but because of economics and convenience. One by one, they packed up their lives and moved downhill to Milna, where the sea was closer, the roads more reliable, and tourism brought a promise of income. And just like that, Malograblia fell silent. And yet, unlike so many ghost towns lost to time, Malograblia was never truly abandoned, because the descendants still return. Some come to visit. Others, like Nicola, the last-born villager, return to reopen the old family tavern, using his grandfather's recipes and reviving life among the ruins. Imagine dining under the stars in a village with no Wi-Fi, no traffic, no neon signs, just stone walls, moonlight, and memory. Here the past doesn't haunt. It lingers gently, not demanding to be remembered, but simply existing. In a world obsessed with progress, places like Malograbli ask us a question. What do we lose when we chase modernity? And is it ever too late to return to what truly matters? In the tranquil waters of northern Italy, where the mountains kiss the clouds and the wind whispers through alpine meadows, something strange pierces the surface of Lake Resia, a solitary church steeple, rising out of the water like a ghost from another world. It looks like a dream or a warning, but it's real. This is all that remains of the village of Curon, a town that once bustled with life, laughter, and the everyday rhythm of a close-knit community. Now it sleeps beneath the waves. Back in the 1940s, the people of Curon were given a choice: abandon their homes or stand against an unstoppable tide of so-called progress. The government had plans to merge two natural lakes into one massive reservoir, and to do that, Curon had to be sacrificed. More than 150 homes were flooded. Families were displaced, graves submerged, history drowned beneath a man-made sea. It wasn't just a village that was lost. It was memory itself, forcibly buried in the name of modernization. But the bell tower refused to sink. Built in the 14th century, it now stands alone in the lake, not as a ruin, but as a monument, a sentinel of sorrow and resilience. Locals say that in winter, when the lake freezes over, you can walk right up to it, and some swear they can still hear the bells ring, even though the clapper was removed decades ago. Curon isn't just a sunken village, it's a symbol of the cost of progress, of the fragility of place, and of how some stories simply refuse to be silenced. To visit Curon is to stare directly into a submerged past, a reminder that beneath even the most peaceful waters, there can lie a world unseen, unheard, and unforgettable. High in the Al-Hajar Mountains of Oman, tucked beneath cliffs that pierce the sky like broken stone teeth, lies a village so remote it may as well have existed on the edge of the world. This is Sab Bani Kamis, a settlement hand-carved into the mountainside, a place that defies logic, gravity, and time. To reach it even now, you must walk. No cars, no roads. Only a narrow trail clinging to steep rock faces, winding like a serpent along the gorge. For centuries, villagers made this journey daily, carrying food, water, stories, and the weight of isolation. But isolation wasn't their enemy. It was their sanctuary. They built homes from the very stone beneath their feet, blending into the mountain as if nature had shaped the village itself. A place without power, without modern convenience, yet filled with ingenuity. An ancient falage system, a network of hand-dug irrigation channels, fed terrace farms perched on cliffside ledges. Goats climb rock faces like ghosts in the mist, and children once played on ledges where one misstep meant vanishing into the canyon below. But in the 1980s, everything changed. As the modern world crept closer, offering roads, electricity, and easier lives, the people of Sab Bani Kamis quietly gathered their things and walked away. What they left behind wasn't just stone and silence. They left a monument to resilience, to a way of life that refused to bend for centuries until it chose to step aside. Today the village sleeps. No voices echo down the stone corridors. No footsteps stir the dust. But for those who make the trek, few as they are, the reward is something few places on earth can offer. Today the village sleeps. No voices echo down the stone corridors. No footsteps stir the dust. But for those who make the trek, few as they are, the reward is something few places on earth can offer. Far out in the heart of the Sahara, beyond the roads, beyond the maps, lies a place that barely clings to memory. This is Jado, a ruined fortress village swallowed by sand, silence, and time. What you see now are the bones of an ancient stronghold. Clay towers crumbling under the desert sun. Windows like hollow eyes staring out into an ocean of dunes. But centuries ago, these walls held a thriving settlement, one of trade, power, and mystery. No one knows exactly who built Jado. Some say it was the Kanem-Bornu Empire. Others claim Berber traders passing through. What's certain is this: for a time, Jado was a beacon in the void, a desert citadel built for survival, perched on a rocky plateau to guard against raiders and the harshness of nature. But then, they vanished, all of them. The people of Jado abandoned this place, leaving behind no written records, only the stones, only the silence. Some say it was the shifting sands that choked their wells, or perhaps the invasion of desert raiders. Others speak of more unsettling tales, of curses and spirits that walk the walls after sunset. Even today, Jado remains largely untouched, too remote for the curious, too desolate for the ambitious. The Tuareg nomads who roam nearby call it a place of ghosts, a city with a soul that lingers, whispering in the wind. But there's something magnetic about it, a haunting beauty. The way the sandstone glows golden at dusk, the way the silence seems to echo with memories. Jado is not just a ruin, it's a question, one that may never be answered. And maybe that's the point. Some places are meant to be forgotten. Others meant to remind us just how little we really know about the worlds we've left behind. Somewhere between the Sierra Nevada mountains and the vast, golden silence of the high desert, there lies a town that once roared with gunfire, laughter, and gold fever. This is Body, California. A ghost town frozen in time, not a theme park, not a museum, but a living memory, untouched and unpolished, of the Wild West's darkest dreams. In the late 1800s, Bodie was booming. Gold had been found. Miners poured in. Saloons, gambling halls, opium dens, and brothels sprang up like wildfire. For a brief, violent moment, Body was the place to be. But prosperity has a price. Body earned a deadly reputation. Gunfights were common. The phrase, "Goodbye God, I'm going to Bodie," echoed from the lips of worried travelers. Lawlessness ruled the streets, and greed ruled the hearts of men. Then, as quickly as it had risen, Bodhi fell silent. The gold dried up. Harsh winters and economic decline swept in like ghosts themselves. People packed what they could and vanished, leaving plates still on tables and school books open on desks. Today, Bodhi is preserved in a state of what they call arrested decay. Nothing has been rebuilt, nothing restored, just left, exactly as it was, as if the people vanished mid-conversation. They say the town is cursed, that those who take anything from Bodhi, even a nail, will suffer misfortune until it is returned. Countless stories tell of tourists who ignored the warnings and mailed back what they stole with letters begging for forgiveness. At first glance, Spitz looks like a picture-perfect postcard, nestled gently along the banks of the Danube River, framed by sun-soaked vineyards and rolling green hills. It's a place where time seems to slow to a whisper. But beneath this postcard beauty lies something much older, much stranger. Legends say the town's layout follows the shape of a 1,000-bucket hill, a hill where 1,000 barrels of wine once rolled down, all at once, in celebration or in omen. No one can quite agree. Spitz is ancient, older than most European cities, its roots stretching back to the Celts, the Romans, and beyond. Yet, unlike the buzzing tourist towns, Spitz has remained quiet, almost forgotten. It's the kind of place where whispers linger in the ivy-covered walls, and every cobblestone carries the weight of forgotten footsteps. But not everything about Spitz is serene. In the 1500s, a dark cloud rolled over the town, one darker than the wine that made it famous. Witch trials swept through the Wachau Valley, and Spitz was not spared. Women were accused, confessed under duress, executed, and then silence. No one speaks of it now. But if you listen closely in the cold months, some locals say you can hear them, the ones they called witches, walking the narrow paths at dusk. Today, Spitz is quiet, too quiet. The population is aging. Young people move to Vienna, to Linz, chasing modern life. What remains are the elderly, the stories, and the hills. Always the hills, watching, waiting. Some say Spitz is just a wine town, but others know it's a living relic, a haunted memory, a hidden world clinging to the edge of time. Hidden in the rugged hills of eastern Spain, where ochre cliffs rise like ancient sentinels and the winds carry stories whispered for centuries, lies a town lost in time, a place so surreal, it feels more like a dream than a destination. This is Albarracin, a medieval marvel cloaked in hues of rose and rust, curled within the protective arms of a forgotten mountain range. Blink and you might miss it on the map, but step into its stone-paved alleys and you'll feel as if you've crossed into a living fairy tale. Time has not merely passed here, it paused. The houses lean with quiet wisdom, their crooked balconies dripping with geraniums. Wrought iron lamps hang like guardians of secrets untold. And at night, when the stars peer down on this lonely fortress, the past comes alive. Centuries ago, Albarracin was a stronghold of the Moors, a fortress town with high walls built to fend off invasion. Those walls still stand today, winding like a serpent across the cliffside. keeping watch over the silent valley below. And if you listen closely as the wind whistles through those weathered towers, you might hear echoes of clashing swords, of whispered prayers spoken behind locked doors, of forbidden love stories written beneath moonlight, long since faded into legend. High in the cliff walls of the American Southwest, where the wind carries the breath of forgotten spirits, lie the remnants of a civilization that vanished without a trace. They are called the ancestral Puebloans, but to most of us, they are known by another name, the Anasazi. These ancient people built vast cities in stone, not on the land, but carved into it. Suspended along sheer canyon walls, their homes seem almost impossible. Rows of stacked rooms tucked into alcoves, hundreds of feet above the valley floor. They lived here for centuries, farming the arid earth, tracking the stars, and carving stories into rock. Their architecture was so advanced, some of their structures aligned perfectly with solstices and celestial events. They were builders, astronomers, and artists. But then, they disappeared. In the late 1200s, they simply abandoned their settlements. Not slowly, not over decades, but suddenly. Entire villages left behind, pottery still sitting on shelves, tools dropped mid-use, fires snuffed out as if everyone stood up and walked away at once. No one knows for sure why. Some say it was a mega drought, others whisper of war, famine, or spiritual migration. There are theories, but no answers. Only silence. Today, the ruins remain quiet, majestic, and eerily intact. They are portals to a civilization that flourished in the harshest of environments and then vanished from it. And as you stand beneath their towering cliffs, one question hangs in the dry desert air. What did the Anasazi know that we don't? Deep in the heart of southern Italy, where the wind carries stories through mountain passes and time hangs still in the air, there lies a village frozen in a moment that never passed. This is Rosigno Vecchia, a ghost town like no other. Not entirely in ruins, not quite alive, but caught in between like a photograph that refused to fade. Once this square echoed with footsteps and conversations. Children raced through these alleys. Locals gathered to share news by the communal well. And the church bell, still hanging, rang faithfully every Sunday. But beneath the charm, this village was sitting on restless earth. The ground shifted again and again. Landslides, subtle at first, began to claw at the edges of the town until one day it was no longer safe to stay. In the early 1900s, the villagers were forced to abandon their ancestral homes. Just a short distance away, a new settlement was built, Rosigno Nuova, practical, modern, but soulless by comparison. And yet, not everyone left. One man stayed behind, the self-declared last guardian of Rosigno Vecchia. His name was Giuseppe. He lived here alone for decades, tending to the place like a caretaker of memory. He knew every crack in the walls, every story etched into the stone. His presence turned this ghost town into a living museum, not of history, but of human persistence. Tourists came, historians listened. Rosigno Vecchia, through him, breathed once more, not as a village of the present, but a whisper from the past that refused silence. Today, no one truly lives here. But Roshigno Vecchia hasn't been forgotten. It stands, stubborn and beautiful, as a monument to memory, abandonment, and the invisible threads that still tie us to forgotten places. We've journeyed through lost roads, wandered past broken homes, and stood where time itself has stopped. These were more than villages. They were once living worlds, filled with voices, footsteps, warmth, now replaced by silence. Some were stolen by war, others surrendered to nature, and a few were simply forgotten. No headlines, no goodbyes. Yet, in their quiet decay, they speak louder than ever. Stories echo from their walls. Memories linger in their dust. Maybe that's why we're drawn to them, because these unseen worlds remind us of how fast things fade and how deeply places can hold on to the past. Which of these places spoke to you the most? Which one made you feel something? Drop a comment, share your favorite, or tell us about a hidden village you know. Maybe it's waiting to be rediscovered. This world still hides wonders. You just have to know where to look. Subscribe for more unseen worlds.